Good news for immigrants wishing to work in Canada. This video update talks about Ontario, making it easier for immigrants to work in their professions. Ontario is prepared to launch legislation that would make it simpler for newcomers to get licensed to work in positions that suit their areas of expertise. Labour Minister Monty McNaughton states that the suggested legislation would, if passed, block many regulatory bodies from expecting immigrants to hold Canadian work experience to get licensed. It would also normalize English language testing conditions and make sure that licensing applications are processed faster. McNaughton states the developments would help remove barriers immigrants often encounter when attempting to work in their professions. It is an injustice when you consider only 25% of immigrants in Ontario work actually in jobs and professions that they were trained for, he declared in an interview. It's all about enhancing their lives, assuring that they get bigger paychecks and further worker protections. McNaughton tells, Ontario is suffering a labor shortage, as around 293,000 jobs are unfulfilled across the province. The proposed legislation would affect licensing bodies that govern architects, accountants, engineers, teachers, and social workers, among others. But it would not affect those regulating medical professions, including those that included licensed doctors and nurses. The legislation would also support internationally trained workers in 23 trades, including electricians, plumbers, and hoisting engineers. McNaughton stated, licensing bodies would nevertheless be able to apply for exclusions that could need Canadian work experience, but that would require government approval. They have to make a health and safety case, which would come to the minister for approval, he said, noting that he hoped to see the changes brought by the legislation take effect in 2 years. The Director of Engineering Training Projects at Atches Employment, an organization that supports immigrants discovering fitting jobs in Ontario, stated that lifting the Canadian work experience requirement would aid immigrant engineers to get licensed and hired a lot faster. Gabriella Taver declared that immigrant engineers cannot work in their profession before they receive their professional license, despite how many years of experience they had before they arrived in Ontario. She stated that a maximum of 4 years of international experience is recognized by the licensing body for engineers in Ontario. However, a minimum of 1 year of work experience in the field in Canada is also needed. Immigrant engineers must work for a year under the supervision of a licensed Canadian engineer to obtain that experience. She further stated that this is the problem: they cannot take a job to receive their license. They cannot sign contracts. They cannot be called engineers, but they can work, for instance, as estimators, project managers, or field coordinators. This is the end of today's video update. We hope you found this update useful. Thanks for watching today's update.